Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, all my sisters and brothers. God bless. Hey, Miss Justice. Hi, number one. You are number one again. All right. Much love, PG. Hey, girl, much love to you. You have made a believer out of me. Absolutely. Speaking truth. Hello, PG mods in chat. Much love. Much love to you, sweetie. Absolutely. Number two in here. And number three. Hey, PG in chat. Hey, girl. Good to see you in here tonight. God bless and much love. D is number three. And Angel Girl, you are number four. All right. Bless Mama PG. Hey, girl. Bless you guys. God bless you. All right, let's move down through here. Mara, how you doing, sweetie? Good to see you in here. And Lucky, good to see you. Absolutely. Hi, there's my sweet Australia. PG, much love. Much love to you, girl. You know it. God bless. Marianne, good to see you, hon. Good to see you. Purple hearts for summer and prayers. God bless. Absolutely. Bridget, how you doing, sweetie? Hello, PG. Been waiting all day to hear from you tonight. I love hearing from you because I feel like every night you bring Summer closer to her resting in peace, and bring her voice. And being her voice is amazing from you. Oh, girl, I appreciate that. I appreciate those kind words. God bless. God bless. Hey, Karen, how you doing, sweetie? How you doing? Much love. Carrie, that is beautiful. Hey, hey, beautiful PG Mods chat. Good to see y'all. Much love. Hey, girl, good to see you. You know it. All right, let's get down through here. Linda, how you doing, sweetie? Ruby Rainmaker. There you are, girlfriend. I don't know if I got two Karens, but I'm going to pop this one up if I haven't already. She says, hello, everyone. Hello to you, sweetie. And there's my fragile little mind. Hey, PG. Hey, hey, hey to you, girl. Hey, Suzanne says, hey, everyone. Hey to you. Good to see you in here. There's Lisa, Sad Eyes, Patty Allen. Carrie, how you doing, sweetie? Grieving Mama, there you are. Keys to my mama's heart. Aw, no peace, no summer, no peace. Absolutely. God knows that. We can't let people have peace as long as they're, you know, lying and not telling and the truth and doing what's best for summer, right? We can't let them have peace. They need to speak up. They need to tell the truth. This little girl deserves to be found. She deserves to be laid to rest. I'm not seeking justice. That's the law. That's the law's job. I'm seeking to find this little girl. Somebody knows where she is. Someone knows where she is. Someone who's willing to talk. Someone that's willing to talk knows where Summer's at. And I wish they start talking, right? There is someone willing to talk. I just hope they start talking for this little girl's sake. 4 years is 4 years too long. It's 4 years too long. And I mean, whatever these people is worried about after 4 years, I don't even know. I don't even know what they'd be worried about 4 years down the road, right? Let this child be found. Let her be put to rest properly. I mean, at this point, it's pointless to be afraid to tell where she's at. It's not making no sense to me. I can understand, the first 6 months, maybe a year. After that, after that, I mean, she deserved to have been laid to rest. Somebody needed, they waited three years too many as it already is. Because, everything, all evidence is gone. 6 months to a year, any evidence is gone, right? I mean, these are some serious cowards. I mean, they're like serious cowards if you're not going to tell after 4 years. I mean, you really got some issues going on, right? Because what can he do? What can he do 4 years down the road? I mean, the only thing's going to be left is just enough to identify her and actually allow her to be laid to rest properly. That's it. That would have been all that was left after a year. So, it's not like, I mean, these guys act like they just got rid of a baby doll, like a stuffed animal or a baby doll. Actually, a stuffed animal would have been pretty much gone by now. But, they act like they done away with a baby doll instead of a human being. And that's just insane. I thought these were mountain people. I thought these were people who, you know about, real life in the mountains, like, how long it takes for something to deteriorate and all the things. And, they're supposed to be, they don't sound like they know much of nothing. To be honest, they act like a bunch of scared city folks trying to be mountain people, if you ask me. I mean, that's my opinion, but because I know how mountain people are. And mountain people know how long it takes, for this, and they know how long it takes for that. And I mean, they've seen enough throughout their lives. These folks are highly educated with common sense. And Ben Hill Road, I mean, they're lacking everything up in there. They're lacking everything. But a 5-year-old innocent little girl, I mean, just a child, a scared child, out there somewhere needing to be found. These people have information. They can come forth and give up and allow her to properly be laid to rest. And why they're holding back from it, I don't know. I mean, as I said, the fear of anything that could incriminate them is gone. There would be nothing there. Unless they know something we don't. Unless they know something we don't know. I don't know. I mean, there could be some things that, they know that we don't. I could give you a few scenarios, but I'm not going to. It would be too graphic. And but it could be possible. There's something's holding them back. They're afraid that, they're afraid that something didn't deteriorate that has been done. So I don't know. Just saying. Anyway, Jody Sue decides to have a live last night, right? Right, Jody Sue? You're always in the bushes. You're always listening to PG. I don't know why. Like, I guess I give you content. I guess, if it wasn't for my content, you would have none. I mean, you're up until 7 o'clock in the morning, right? 7 o'clock in the morning, running a freaking live with PG stuff. Did anybody else see that? Put a one in the chat if you've seen Jody Sue playing out all my stuff all night last night as I slept. I seen her before I went to bed. Playing out all of our content over here. So, and then she talks about how PG doesn't know about the 3 branches of government. How many branches are in the, why should I educate you? Why didn't you go to school and get educated yourself? Right? Some reason she obviously wanted to know. I could think of a few scenarios why she would want, to use my, brilliant mind, obviously to get a good grade on either hers or daughter's paper. I don't know, but I'm not going to give that to her. She should have went to school. She should have got educated herself on, how our government works, right? Should have got educated on that herself. I mean, that's why we go to school. But I did post it over on Facebook, and she could probably use one of them fake accounts because I'm sure she's already, faked account into Summer's Facebook over there. So she can just use that fake account to, to get whatever she's looking for because I posted it up. To educate her. She needs it. But I'm going to tell you, that's the way people are, man. They won't use they won't use their brain if they can use yours, right? Be careful about those people. If people can get you, why do it yourself if you can get someone else to do it, right? Let people do it themselves. Hey, Kathy, I see you, girl. I see you. Absolutely. I agree, Beach Creek. I agree. I absolutely agree. It's a shame that they won't come forward and speak up for this little girl. Hey, Abigail. Hey, PG. And didn't Don say we just got her back? I thought he said this. Yeah, he did make a statement to that, Abigail, as if they had just got her back. But she wasn't ever gone. She wasn't ever gone. I don't know what he meant. I don't know what he meant by that statement, I have no idea. Well, they did send that little girl home on Saturday, and Summer come up missing on Monday. So, and they had just sent Marlena's daughter home Saturday after church. Summer was seen Saturday at church. So it's very possible that, after church, it's very possible that Grandis was taking Marlena's daughter home, and maybe Don and Candace was taking Summer somewhere to stay with someone, and they picked her back up. They picked her back up Sunday. Just got her back from loaning her out to someone, because I do think they were doing stuff like that, for what they could get. That's my opinion. And, you know, because Candace did make a statement if I was there, right? Don said if we just, he did make the statement, just got her back. And Candace did make the statement if I would have been there. They wouldn't have hurt her like that had I been there. So, that's true. That's true. I don't know. A lot goes on in, you know, a lot goes on inside of people's homes, like Don and Candace Wells. A lot of things go on inside them type of homes. I knew a few people, you know, um, I met up with a few people like that throughout my life, Don and Candace type humans, really vicious, really, ugly, really sinister to their children. Um, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at how many homes, how many houses behind them doors. You'd be surprised at, the stuff that people don't see or know. Um, when you're a kid, when you're a kid and a teenager, young adult, hanging around with your girlfriends and stuff, you see, you get a glimpse of some really disgusting things that go on inside these homes. Marlena, if you want to come up, you got to show your face. You can't show your face. I'm not bringing you up. Right? Oh, she wanted to disappear. Um, he. It's really, that's what you want to write? Wow. Okay. Um, that's odd. I'm going to tell you, some humans' mentality levels amuse me. They really do. I get amused by humans and their mentality levels. I'm going to tell you, they they don't surprise you, right? They've yet to surprise me. That's for sure. Unbelievable, though. It's unbelievable. But there's a lot of, there's a lot of, there is a lot of children out there right now as we speak, going through, the same thing Summer was, her brothers, and maybe even worse. Maybe even worse. There is a lot of very abusive households. A lot of children out there, and the sad thing about children is, and old people, they're vulnerable. They're very vulnerable. And cowards take advantage of them. Cowards, like, you always tell a coward, because a coward won't ever stand up to anybody, anybody that can knock them down. They only stand up against people who are weaker. They are the people that, abuse children to make themselves feel better and more powerful. They abuse old people, cowards are disgusting. Cowards are the ones that, creep in. They creep in the dark. They creep in the dark and do evil shit in the dark against people. They ain't got enough ass to stand up in nobody's face. right? They haven't got the ass to literally stand up against you. Um, you know, they're just, they're cowards. They got a very cowardly way. Cowards put other people up to do their dirtiness too. Cowards want to go around and they want to put other people up to doing, their dirty damn deeds. Hey, seeking truth. All right. I got a super sticker. All right, girl. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. God bless. Appreciate you supporting Summer's channel. Amen. Absolutely. Yeah, Don, luckily we was able to get Don to come out and talk about, you know, when he was with Cher, when he was with Cher, Cher kind of kept Don on a leash, and thank God we were able to get him, on other people's panels, and moving around to different creators, because it allowed us to get a lot more information. Cher wouldn't sit there and just let Don ramble off and get all the information possible for Summer. She was wanting to protect them. She was wanting to you know Cher protects. She's always for the evil ones, and she protects them. Um, what to say, what not to say. She'll cut them off, and I mean, she wants to be their friend. She wants to be their buddy system, and you can't do that. Hey, Isabella, how you doing, sweetie? Um, but yeah, she doesn't let them. She's not for the victim and getting all the answers she can for the victim, and how you can call yourself, a true crime creator, how you can call yourself, a support for missing children. You can't call yourself support for missing children unless you're willing to work for the missing child, unless you're willing to put the victim first. You have to put the victim first. It's like, if you're an attorney, you got to put your client first, right? You can't go to the other side and, and let your client go down the drain. You got to be for your client. And, this community out here, well, the missing children are the clients. And, and that's who you're supposed to be supporting and getting all the answers and everything for. But there's some creators that, they don't care about the missing kids. They don't care about the victims. They care about, you know, really themselves. They don't care about they don't really care about the suspects either. They just care about themselves. And that's, it's not righteous. But it is what it is. And Jody Sue also, wanted to mention, that PG is out here, for for the same reason that a lot of these creators are out here. And I Jody Sue was watching all the PG stuff last night, playing it out. How many commercials? How many commercials in the middle of all of that did she see? None. None, because I don't play none. I don't play no commercials because it interrupts. It interrupts what we're talking about. I think that's a threat. I think that's a threat, buddy. Right? I screenshotted that, so I hope I hope law enforcement finds you Mister, your, what you said, because that's a threat to me. And I hope your IP address gets flagged, and they look into whoever you are. Don't come up here threatening me. And using that N word, um, it's just, I can tell you're uneducated. I can tell you're very uneducated. Um, Backstage, I had somebody backstage, um, wanting to threaten PG up, and it isn't going to work because the only person I'm afraid of, the only human on this earth that I'm afraid of, doesn't exist. Right? It doesn't exist. Because Jesus ain't no longer here. He's in heaven, and God's in heaven, and God Almighty's the only one PG fears. That's all I fear is God. I have no other fears. So if you're trying to put some fear in me, you can forget that. But I do see how uneducated you are. And to use the N word, I'm going to tell you something, buddy. There's only one race. It's called a human race. And the most uneducated thing in the world is to be prejudiced. That's the most uneducated thing in this whole world, is to be prejudiced. What are you prejudiced against? You're going to hate a whole culture. You're going to hate a whole culture. Why? What did a whole culture do to you? I mean, humans in this world, none of us want to be stereotyped by anyone that surrounds us. We want to be looked at as individuals, for what we do, what we achieve, all the things about us. We don't want to be stereotyped off of our families. Oh, you got one bad apple, so all of you are probably, your whole family's probably bad apples. And we don't like that. We don't like that. So why would we want to stereotype any, a whole culture? That's crazy. That don't make no sense. So I'm going to tell you, Mr., Mrs., whoever you are using that N word, there's going to be a whole lot of every culture in heaven. Every culture on the face of this earth is going to be up there in heaven, because every culture on the face of this earth worships and loves God. There is a lot of people who get online. A lot of people in different countries, they get online because in their country they're not allowed to be Christians. They're not allowed to believe and so forth, but they still do. They still do. And they get on live, and those people's going to be in heaven. They're going to be in heaven. And you know what? So you better be careful. You better be very careful about being, one of those people that has a problem with other cultures and everything. Because when you get to heaven's gate, you're probably going to hear St. Peter say, hey, you can't come in here. Because why? Because that culture that you didn't like on earth, well, there's quite a few of them here, and we wouldn't want to bring you in around people you don't like. So you're going to have to, go somewhere else, and there's only one other place to go, right? One other place to go. You know where that's at, So you take your hateful self, and go there. Because there's no room in heaven for hate. Only love, kindness, caring. That's it. Right? That's it. I'm going to tell you, yeah, people are very, very uneducated. And you know what's super uneducated about it all is like we're made up of all kinds of things, right? We're made up of all kinds of things. I mean, like there's no 100%. There's no 100% of nothing left on this earth. We're all God's children, and we're all made up of different stuff. You know, well, how can you be prejudiced when you're made up of so many different cultures yourself? That's insane. That's insane. I'm going to tell you, I love all people. I love all people. I wish people weren't evil. I wish people weren't evil. You know, I really do. God loves everyone on the face of this earth. And if God can love all these people, then PG can love all these people too. But just like God, it saddens me. It saddens me to see all of these evil people that ain't working, you know, they're not doing God's will. It saddens me that so many people are going to end up, in a bad place. They didn't even see it coming. They didn't even see it coming. They're so busy, they're so busy doing what they want to do instead of what God wants them to do, that boom, they're gone. They're gone. And you say, wow, you know, um, how can you get to heaven if you pass away doing evil? How can you get to heaven if you pass away hating the way these people do? I don't know. I don't know. You know, God doesn't like evil people either. You know, he doesn't like evil people either. That's why he has to send them to the bad place because they're bad. But it's sad. People need to, we better remember the days of Noah because it says at the end of time that's the way it's going to be. It says at the end of time it's going to be like the days of Noah. And the days of Noah, if you remember right, there wasn't one kid, there wasn't one child on the ark. Not one. There was Noah, his wife, Noah's 3 sons, which helped build the ark and gather up the animals, and their wives. So there was Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. And that's it. That's it. There was no children. And, so we better remember that. If people think that children will not be judged, accordingly once they are, once the child's old enough to know right from wrong, they will be judged just like, anyone else will. I mean, in today's world, they are literally, the courts are literally trying, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids as adults. They will try your child as an adult in this country. They're going to hold your child accountable for its sins. And so will the Bible, so will God. So you got to raise your children right. People worry about their child having a roof over their head. They worry about them having clothes on their back. They worry about them having a cell phone. They worry about their kid having food. They worry about all of the, but why they're not worried about their child's soul. They're not worried about, where their child's soul is going to end up for eternity. You don't care about that. You don't raise your kids with the fear of God in them. You better put the fear of God in your children, because I'm going to tell you what. And God's the only one they better fear, because God's the only one that can give it, and he will take it away. God's the only one that, I'm going to tell you, he's the only one that can let you into heaven or toss you into Hades. You better freaking learn to fear God. A lot of people fear the devil. Why are you fearing the devil? The devil can't do nothing to you. The devil can't do nothing to you. The devil can't take your life. The devil can't toss you into hell. Why are you fearing something that can't do nothing to you? God's the one that can take your breath away. God's the one that can toss you into Hades, baby. And that's who you better be fearing, and nothing else. Just saying. That's the way it is. I'm going to tell you something. People who hurt children are evil. People who hurt old people are evil. People who lie all the time are evil. The Bible plainly states that Satan is the father of all liars. If you lie, Satan's your daddy. Satan's your daddy. When they say, who's your daddy? If you're a liar, you have to say Satan, right? You got to say the devil, because that's your daddy. God is not your father. He's not your daddy unless you are following and doing his will. You got to be, God is truth. God is the truth. And if you ain't telling the truth, then, you can't say God's my father. Because the Bible plainly says that if you're a liar, Satan's your daddy. Satan is the father of all liars. That's why, who on this earth do you fear so much that you will defy God, that you will defy your God to lie to them? Who on this earth do you fear that much that you're going to tell a big old lie, right? And defy your God? Hey, I'm going to tell you, there ain't nobody on this earth. I'm not going to defy my God to lie to somebody. That's just stupid. That's just stupid right there. You don't want to hear the truth? Don't come around PG. That's all I got to say. Don't come around me, because I'm going to give you the truth. You ask me something, you're going to get the truth. Might not like it, but you're going to get the truth. Just saying. And to be honest with you, I'm talking about people like Jody Sue, who can't tell the truth to save herself. I'm talking about people like Don Wells and Candace Wells and Hunter's dad, which I hate to say it, Hunter's dad's a little more truthful. He's a little more truthful than most. I got to give him that. That guy is a little bit truthful, but I'm talking about these people that can't tell the truth to save themselves. You got a 5-year-old missing little girl. These people know something. And if they don't know something, then they need to say they don't know nothing. And be honest. And be upright and honest with it. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm going to tell you, if you feel PG's talking directly to you, you need to check yourself, because this ain't about nobody in my chat. This is about evil people who harm and hurt children. You know, I'm not talking to anybody in my chat because I don't feel anybody in my chat is evil. I think people who, come in here and support missing kids, how can you be evil? How can you be evil when you're here wanting this child found? You're wanting this child brought home. You're wanting this child laid to rest, right? If it's no longer with us, and I don't think it is, and you're wanting justice for this little baby. How can you be evil? You're not evil. I personally think that, I think there's a gift in heaven for you folks that are here all the time supporting these missing kids and really caring about them. I think, I think you guys are like diamonds in the rough. I think, you are are like a few people left on the face of this earth that actually have normal minds and understand good from evil, and actually, want evil put away from you. That's what I believe, from just your guys' actions that I've seen and being here all the time, for these missing kids. That's what I personally think about all of you. So, of course, I'm not speaking about no one in my chat, But I am trying to educate all the mothers in this chat, all the grandmothers, great grandmothers. I'm trying to educate, maybe grandfathers, grandpas, on dads, whatever. I don't know everybody's age group, but I'm sure that it runs a wide range from young adults up to older individuals. But regardless to what your age is, you either have to be, you got to be an aunt, an uncle, a cousin. You got to be a mom, a grandmother, great grandmother. You got to be something of these nature, and I'm just trying, I'm trying to educate you that, if we worry about these children having roofs over their heads and clothes on their back and food in their mouth, shouldn't we be worried about where their soul's going to end up for eternity? Don't we want to instill, don't we want to instill in our children that there is a God that don't like, anyone doing evilness? Don't we want to instill in our children that, they got a heaven to win and a hell to shun, and hell's very hot and they don't want to end up down there? I think we do, I think we do. The best gift you can give your grandchild or your child or your great grandchild, the best gift you can give, actually the best gift you can give anybody, is a Bible, is their first Bibles, and a whole lot of prayer. That's the best gift you can give them. Something money can't buy. Money cannot buy, someone praying for you. I mean, if you got a voice going up, reaching God's ears on your behalf from someone else's lips, money can't buy that. You know, that's a gift. That's a gift that, you know, that every human needs, and it has no price tag on it. The Word of God, the Word of God, well, I'm going to tell you, the Word of God, you can't put money on that either. You can't put a price tag on the Word of God and instilling it into humans so that they can go down the righteous path. Just saying. Absolutely. You know, you tell your kids at nighttime, you tell your kids, brush your teeth, right? Take a bath, brush your teeth, make sure you get on, new pajamas, make sure that you kick your house shoes off and before you get in bed, right? No shoes in the bed. You teach your kids all these things. Why don't you teach them how to stop, kneel down, and talk to God before they get in that bed? Thank God for the day that He gave them. Thank God that everything's going right in your life, and with the loved ones around you. Why don't you teach them how to ask God for another day to be better than it was today? Why don't you teach them to stop in the morning at breakfast and say a prayer? At lunchtime, say a prayer. Dinner time, say a prayer. I truly believe that if you pray over your food, it won't ever make you sick. Matter of fact, I know it won't. I know it won't. If you pray over your food, ask God to bless it and sanctify it in the name of Jesus Christ. Even if that food was no good, it ain't going to hurt you. You're not going to be sick from it. Because the Bible tells you you won't. And I believe the Bible. It's when you forget to pray that you're probably going to get sick if that food's no good. There's a reason. There's a reason to do everything. And you don't have to give God nothing. You don't have to give God anything. God gives everything to you. God don't need you. You need Him, you guys. You need God. He don't need us. Trust me. He don't need us. He wants us. Just saying. When I first came out here onto YouTube, this, talking about God was like nobody, they were afraid to talk about God because they might get timed out. They might get, they might get told off by somebody. It was like, don't talk about God. Don't mention God. I'm going to tell you something right now. Jesus said, if you deny me, I will deny you to my Father. You better not be denying Jesus. I don't care where you're at. Get timed out. Get timed out. That's good. I tell you what, if God ain't there and Jesus ain't there, I don't want to be there anyway. Time me out. Block my ass. I don't care. Because I don't want to be anywhere that God ain't welcome. I tell you that right now. And that's why I homeschool my kids. When the schools and stuff started having a problem with children praying and with children talking about God, it was time for us to leave. I ain't going to go nowhere. You don't want God there, then you know what? You don't want me there. People say, people stand up for this and they stand up for that and they stand up for all the. You better be standing up for the Lord. Are you going to wish you did? That's what you better be standing up for. You better be saying, you know what, this country right here was founded on "In God We Trust." America was founded on "In God We Trust." And you better keep trusting in God. Because like I said, he don't need you. He don't need you. You need him. You need him. And by God, you better be standing up for him. Because people are trying to remove, this country here. That's why we started this country. So we could have freedom of religion. So we could worship God and worship, Jesus Christ. And we can, believe however we want to believe. America is about being free to do what we want to do. And I'm going to tell you, when it's not free, when people are telling you where you can talk about God and where you can't. Your country is no longer free when people are ruling you and telling you what you can and cannot do. You are no longer free. Your freedom just went out the window. And folks better remember that. They better remember that. I'm just trying to help you all out. And why do you think they don't push and teach history in the school buildings anymore? They don't want you to know about history. They don't want you to know. Because you know what? History is bound to repeat itself. The reason you learn history is because if you don't learn it, it will repeat itself. And when they're not pushing it and they're not teaching it, you better sit down and wonder why. Right? You better sit down and think to yourself why. When they're trying to take God out of everything, you better ask yourself why. I'm going to tell you, when somebody's trying to remove something, if they're trying to remove it, they're trying to replace it with something else. Right? What are they trying to replace it with? Well, if you ask me, pure evilness. Their situation, they're situating this country and every country, to be honest. They're situating everything now, for the Antichrist to rise up, if you ask me. That's my opinion. I'll keep it. But look how everything's going. Look how it's all going. They want to take all the cash out of your pockets and put cards in your hand. They want to, want you to shop. Use your phone now to do all your shopping. The scan and go stuff. And as you go out the door, they got some kind of machine that scans your cart before you leave. I mean, they're trying to put humans out of business and put all of this technology in business. And why? Because it's easier to rule you. It's easier to rule you when they don't need you. You better remember that. You better remember that. So, people say, progress. We have to progress. No, actually we don't. I'm going to tell you, only thing progress seems to be doing is putting a lot of humans out of work. Just saying. You know how many jobs? Do you know how many jobs are going to be lost when people can walk into grocery stores and just scan everything and go? Do you know how many jobs are going to be lost? Do you know how many jobs are going to be lost when you can just go up to, you know, these ATMs and everything and do all your banking and stuff. No need for all the bankers anymore. Open your accounts online. Use the AMTs. They ain't gonna need no people to be doing nothing. And I'm gonna tell you, when you ain't got no jobs, who are you at the mercy of? Who are you at the mercy of? Yeah, keep thriving for that progress, right? And I'm gonna tell you, I don't like progress. I like old fashioned. I like old fashioned people answering the phone. I like old fashioned walk in, talk to people to get what I want done. I like the old fashioned way. I like, humans. I like humans, running everything and doing everything. I don't like those machines. I don't like machines. And the only people who's going to be making money are the people that's highly educated enough to work on those machines, right? Keep them running, to keep those machines running. And you'll have to be highly skilled and highly educated to be able to do that. Oh hell, they don't. They're not even going to. They'll put truckers out of business too. They'll put truckers out of business by, you know, eventually they'll have trucks that can drive themselves. And if they can't get trucks to drive themselves, then what they'll do is they'll lay a line from one end of the country to the other, and basically, ship everything that way. They'll ship everything, on the tracks where only one person and 40 cars are bringing it in. Just saying. And, and don't be surprised. Don't be surprised when you see these machines as the cars pull up. You see these machines come out and pick the stuff up and, take it back in and drop pallets everywhere. They'll just take it in and drop it. And then you'll be shopping off of pallets. You won't be, they ain't going to have people out there, unloading this stuff. They'll have machines unloading it all. Because, technology is really, really advancing, and it's advancing at a very high pace. And they've been doing this. They've been doing this. Wow, clean back. I mean, people think that computers just now started to exist. I'm sorry to tell you, but computers were they had computers back in the freaking 30s, 40s, and 50s, right? They had computers clean back. Maybe they weren't as advanced as they are today, or as common as they are today, but they had them. I mean, this stuff has been being planned for a long time. Ain't nobody interested in what I got to say. Yeah, take the link. I give it to you. If you want to come up, take the link. Ain't that hard to come on panel. All you got to do is click on the link, click out of, click completely out of YouTube. You'll be in StreamYard. When you take the link, you'll be in StreamYard. Click out of YouTube, and then just come up on you. When you pop up, you'll be backstage. I'll pop you up here, You say whatever you want to say. Open panel here every night. Every single night. Open panel. I'm going to tell you, when you start talking about God, you find out, you find out who you want to be around and who you don't. I'm going to tell you right now, if God's, when you're talking about God and people start disappearing, you just look up and say, God, thank you. Because those people are evil. People that don't want to hear about God, you can bet your ass they ain't going to be in no heaven. That's all I got to say. If you ain't interested in hearing about God or God's word, you ain't going to be in no heaven. Trust and believe that. I feel sorry for folks that don't want to hear about the Lord. I really do. I feel sorry for them. You know, I mean, I'm all of this all of this stuff that goes on in this world, all of these things that are going on in this world, if people would have took time to listen to God, and they'd have took time to hear about the Bible, and they'd have took time to hear all the good stuff, and they would have been living good lives, we wouldn't be here tonight. There would be no need for a missing on child's channels. There would be no need for true crime, because there would be no crime, right? There'd be no crime. You know what they would be? They'd be neighbors helping neighbors. They would be people caring about one another. They'd be people, everybody would be keeping everybody safe. Everybody would be telling the truth. Everybody would be honest. Everybody would be good to their children. They'd be good to old folks. They'd be good to one another. And this life would be beautiful. It would be heaven on earth. It'd be heaven on earth, right? But that ain't the way people want to live. People want to live, you know, um, they people out here today, you know, they want to see other people's husbands. They want to lie. They want to steal. They want to connive. They want to, um, they just want to be evil as hell. They live for pure evilness. And I don't know what to tell folks. Yeah, I do know what to tell folks. They better get their houses in order, because the days of Noah is already here. Trust and believe me. The days of Noah is already upon us. And if the Lord came, you know, I can't take no one to heaven but myself. I can't even take my kids to heaven. I can steer them in the right path. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can't take nobody to heaven but yourself. You are responsible for you. You can try to lead other people, but if they won't go, that's not your problem. That's their own. But I'm going to tell you, one day people's going to wish they would have listened. They would have listened to PG about the heaven to gain, the hell to shun. They're going to wish they would have picked that Bible up more, right? Instead of whatever, instead of whatever they were picking up. Because I hate to say it, God sees everything you do. And if you could read a full novel, you could go, out and buy a book, and you could sit and read that whole book. Well, What if God says, I seen you read 100 books, but none of them was my Bible. Why should I let you in heaven when you were able to read everything else, but you wasn't able to read the most important thing on that earth? The word, my word. Boy, won't you be disappointed? Won't you be awful boy, you wish you picked that Bible up and read it then, right? Actually, you would have wished the Bible would have been the only thing you probably would have been reading every day, every day. But you can't go back, right? You can't go back. But I can just say, get your houses in order. I ain't trying to put people to sleep with God. Absolutely not. If God's putting you to sleep, then I don't know what to tell you, because God don't put me to sleep. You know, when somebody's talking about God, my ears perk up and I listen. Good morning. Good morning. We got someone from England. God bless. Ronnie Lawson's son, yes, he was. I don't think Ronnie Lawson's son has anything to do. Has anything to do. Um, I don't think Ronnie Lawson's son has anything to do with Summer's case. I really don't. I don't think his case was kind of isolated to a certain child, to my understandings. Um, so I don't think he had anything to do with the Summer Wells case at all. But I haven't ever seen, to be honest with you, I haven't ever seen anything like Tennessee when it comes to RSOs. You know, God does want you to thrive, and He does want you to spread His word, and get it out there. That's why we're here. That's what we've put on this earth for. We've put on this earth to show God that we are, that we are worthy. We are worthy to wear that white gown, and we are worthy to, live forever. Once this old life's over. Exactly. But you can't take anybody to heaven. You can only try to steer them in the right direction. And if they don't want to go, well, you just, like in the Bible, when God sent the 12 disciples out, when He sent His disciples out and they went to different people's houses, right? Remember when He sent them out there? And and they were plainly instructed that if the person turns them away, they're to knock the dust off their feet and keep moving. Don't even worry about it. And that's pretty much what you got to do. You know, like, tonight, the person that says, "Oh, I didn't come here, I come here to hear about all the trauma and drama. I didn't come here to hear about the word of God. This is putting me to sleep." Well, uh, you know, that's sad. That's a sad thing. Um, I don't know what to say. I just got to knock the dust off my feet and move on, right? And that's what I did. I mean, that person can't be steered in the right direction. You know, maybe one day. I mean, I don't give up. I don't give up on people. They're just not ready. They're just not ready you know, to hear anything other than, the trauma and drama. That's what they're here for. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But, you know, Jody Sue, let's get back to her. Let's get back to her. Because Jody Sue likes to sit over there. She says she's an atheist, right? Put a one in the chat if I'm correct, because I know she says she's an atheist. I've heard her say she don't believe in God. Um, and that's a sad thing. That's a sad thing. But why does she ask for prayer? Why does she ask for prayer sometimes? If you don't believe in God, why do you why do you want people to pray for you? You can't have it both ways. You can't tell people you're an atheist and then sit around and ask people to pray when shit in your life ain't going right, right? You can't do that. You're a hypocrite. That's what you are. You're a hypocrite. You say you don't believe, but then you do when you need something. You know, that's just weird. That's just weird. Absolutely. I mean, you want to portray yourself as evil, and you want to portray yourself as, a non-believer and all of these things. But then when something bad goes wrong in your life, you want prayers? Come on. You should be wanting prayers all the time. Maybe those bad things wouldn't happen. If you'd been a little closer to God instead of the devil, right? You want to hang out with the devil when everything's going good. You want to run to God when everything goes wrong. Wow. And then you expect him to be there. You expect him to be there? That's weird. I don't know. I wouldn't want to live a life like that. I just wouldn't want to live a life like that. But, if Jody Sue decides to stay up all night tonight, if she decides to stay up all night tonight, she's going to get a whole lot of hearing about God, right? She's going to hear a whole lot about God. Maybe it'll put her to sleep too. I don't know. Might put her to sleep as well. And that would be a good thing, because I don't know when the hell she sleeps. I don't know when she sleeps. I ask myself, I'm like, when the hell does this woman sleep? Has she sold her soul not to have to sleep? I don't know. That's really weird. I ain't never seen anybody that can stay up like this lady does. I mean, put one in the chat if you think it's abnormal how much she stays awake. I mean, hell, she did it all night live, and then she had that ass up on another live today, during the day. I'm like, whoa. Right? That's kind of insane. I seen her. Oh my gosh. All the cops are involved. My father was on officer for many years, and 75% of them are in the Illuminati. Right? I don't believe that shit. I don't believe that shit for 5 seconds. I know a lot of police officers. I know a lot of police officers. And I'm telling you, they ain't no Illuminati. That's just, I don't know where people get this shit. I really don't. I don't know where. I have no idea. But if Jody Sue, if you want to play out my content tonight, I just got to tell you, there is a heaven to win, hell to shun. Maybe you want to tell where Summer's at. You act like you know everything, so obviously you know that. And if you know that, then why don't you tell that? and, gain heaven, shun hell. Let us know where this baby is. Um, because here lately, the only thing you're trying to do is deter us from that gravesite. You must be worried about that gravesite because also you came out talking about Hunter. You came out and you've been on Hunter talking about how he's lying and he's saying all these things and he's doing all these things and he can't get his story straight. And you really, kind of like the Wells, were throwing everyone else under the bus. You've been coming out, and that's what you're doing. And matter of fact, you're using another creator's site to actually do it too. You're going, another old hag, right? Another old hag site, and you're going there, and you're spewing all this BS and to get everybody's attention off, off of that gravesite, off of Andy, off of the real stuff that was going down for a long time before Summer disappeared, when she disappeared, and after she disappeared. I think we all know what pretty much happened at the beginning of the day on June 15th, 2021, Jody Sue. What we want to know is what was going on the 14th when you and Donna and Candace, you guys were out looking for Mr. Dobbs at all of them different hotels, up and down side roads. Why don't you tell us why you were out there looking for this man? And Don Wells had just went to work that day in the Subaru while Andy's driving your vehicle that's got GPS. Don also fires his co-worker Dudley in order to blame all this stuff on the 15th. But, what was your involvement? Because Andy was driving a vehicle that had GPS, like Don was driving Starlink. Andy stayed at work the whole day, like Don stayed at work the whole day, hiding. There's a lot of the same stuff going on with Andy that was going on with Donald. You and Candace and Grandis, all of you guys seem to, be having something corresponding, had something going on inside Ben Hill Road once Candace and Grandis got back in there. You were actually had your feet in the water talking about you didn't, want to mess up any scent. What the hell was that about? I mean, we thought Summer had wandered off, got lost, wandered out, got lost somewhere. Nobody was thinking that it was a crime scene. Even law enforcement came up there. They didn't think it was a crime scene. They thought that just, 5-year-old kid probably just wandered off. They're going to find her. And I would assume that would be everyone's logical thinking. It would certainly be mine if I heard a 5-year-old's missing, inside of Ben Hill Road, where a child hasn't ever came up missing before, other than being lost, and needing found. Maybe wandered off and somebody's going to find it in a few minutes. But other than that, that would have been the only scenario that any logical people, like I said, including law enforcement, would have been thinking. But it seems like before law enforcement even got there, you and Grandis and Candace, all of y'all was thinking criminal. You were thinking criminal minded. And that just doesn't sit right with me, seeing that you were out the night before trying to find Mr. Dobbs at a hotel or wherever you could. You guys diligently look for this man. Why did you want to find him? What was the purpose in wanting to find this man? I mean, you live up on a big hill. You had no worries about this man whatsoever. I mean, you guys weren't afraid to run him off. So I know you weren't afraid of him coming back. He was an old man with a dog. And you guys are young, healthy people, right? Andy's a middle-aged, healthy-ass man. Not an old goat like Dobbs. Dom Wells, he ain't too young, but he's fit enough. He's fit enough not to be scared of Dobbs. So you guys definitely wasn't afraid of this big old man. I mean, this man barely could walk. He barely can get around. You wasn't afraid of him. So what exactly was your purpose of going and looking for him? That's what I'd like to know. It sounds to me like, and why was Andy and Don both worried about driving vehicles that would help put them where they supposed to be all day, along with their telephones, their cell phones. What exactly was, them to kind of comparing up for? I don't know. I mean, if you guys weren't in cahoots, why is Don and Andy's everything so similar to what they were doing on the 15th? That's what people need to think about. And that's what you don't want people thinking about. You don't want people thinking about that. But, if you're going to play out tonight, well, you're going to hear, your people's going to get a whole lot of God and Jesus, that's for sure. Because that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. And that's why I spent like almost an hour and a half talking about. But now I'm going to give you some more because I want to make sure you got enough for the whole night. So I'm going to give you some more to play out, Jody Sue. You know what you can play out? You can play out yourself. Here we go.
All right. Well, that's good. Y'all go over there and ask why exactly it is he was selling drugs to the children at 110. Why he was potentially causing little girls over there to be sedated and to be touched with the shit he was selling them over there. Go ask. Because I have fucking questions. Not standing in front of him anymore. Yeah. And I found about a few days before all the shit went down. I'm not kidding, dude. And I got the fucking receipts on it. And I'm sure law enforcement does as well. He had known Summer was also being abused, and he hid it from everybody, including me. And he was very much selling drugs to the children at 110. And to Candace for those children. Now, what all that was, I don't know. But I do know it was happening. And I very much think it plays a role in what was happening to other little girls over there. And I very much do think that it could be part of why Summer looked so asleep. Is maybe possibly Candace giving her the shit Andy was selling to her. So go ask. Because I still have fucking questions. And I think that it was occurring since before the Utah trip. It is part of why Josie was taken to Utah. Even though that was kind of a fucking lie. Right? Why he went to Utah. But it's Andy's fault. And Candace's. You remember Candace saying Josie was, or Alice, or one of them, talking about how Josie was using, and it was the reason he was taken. It's not the reason Josie was taken out there. But shit occurring around that time is why. He's responsible for it. From before Utah until. So you go ask him why he was selling drugs to those children. And to Candace for the children. Go ask. And ask him what type other than weed.
I just thought I'd give you a pause, Jody Sue.
I had her crying in tears. I mean, just like in a ball because for like fucking 5 minutes she just wouldn't lay off. And it was Summer's dead body's laying there and who gives a fuck about it and this and blah blah and she's dead. I mean, just the grossest.
Pause, like you do, Jody Sue.
And the first time I met Candace was after an incident, like I said, we'll get back to, which is now part of what we're trying to all figure out. But, anyway, she was on a dirt bike with the next youngest, and I'm not gonna call names other than Summers. And, diaper full on that one, hanging off, old as the hills. And his little sippy cup, you know what it's full of? Liquor. I know that because of, announced it like it was something to be prideful about. Because he wanted something to drink, and she told him no, we couldn't have that because it had her liquor in it. Hello, new neighbor, right? And then the first day I met her, she was telling me about a church calling for Easter. And how they didn't really do that, but there was this church, and you get the free bike at this one, or you could get $100 in this one, and wouldn't know if I joined. I'm like, man, I'm not into that stuff. Y'all know I'm atheist, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, not my type of people, sort of.
Not your type of people? Your old man is over there selling stuff to Candace to give little girls to be touched, and they're not your type of people. And go ask him what it is, because it's not the goody good stuff. Go ask him because it's other than the good stuff. And your old man is over there knowing that children are being touched, and you obviously knew too, because you said, go ask him. I'm not going to stand in front of him no more. Well, of course you're not. You don't got all that money coming in that was coming in before by what he was selling and what he was doing, right? It ain't coming in your pockets anyway, because he's married to Becca. Yeah, these ain't your kind of people. Oh, I think they are. I think they are your kind of people, Jody Sue. Absolutely your kind of people, right? Do you remember when you said that you guys were making 1,000 or more off of good old Donnie, and you don't know where he was getting money from, because he still had money to buy corn dogs and liquor and cigarettes and all the stuff, and you was after the corn dogs? Like the kids shouldn't even have had no corn dogs, that those corn dogs should have been on your table instead? Yeah. And these ain't your kind of people. Wow. Sounds to me like they was your kind of people for damn sure. Right? You was loving it.
Thing. And then asked if I go there just to help.
Oh. And you was going and getting if there was $100 to get at Easter, your big ass was right there with your hand out too. Don't even kid nobody. If you would swing on a pole to make money, you sure put your hand out to get some Easter cash as well. Who the hell you think you're kidding?
Her. Like, no, ma'am. Anyway, what I didn't realize, nor did any of the rest of the neighbors who knew them closely, was that she was pregnant that whole time. And I have the messages to prove when we all found out Summer existed, which was after she was born. Because in the middle of a snowstorm, here they come in February with a car seat, and had to park at the end of the lane at Ben Hill and walked in with Summer because you couldn't get into the road. And I and the other neighbors, immediately, they messaged me and were like, do you see this? And I was like, see what? And they were like, they just walked in with a brand new car seat.
Wow. Bet you didn't know they could afford that after they was giving you all the monies for whatever else that was going on there, right? A brand new car seat. How jelly can you be? A baby got a new car seat. And she's so can you hear in her voice how jealous she is about a brand new car seat? Can you hear that in her voice? What the freak, right? What the freak?
I'm like, you're kidding me. We were all like, holy shit, another one.
Oh, another one. Holy crap, another one, right? Wow. Wow. And she wants you to believe that she really cares. That she really cares about Summer. I know she doesn't. She let you know right then and there that she didn't care about Summer from day one. From day one. Right?
Great.
You know what I think, Jody Sue? I think you were jealous that Candace was able to have a baby and you didn't. I don't know why why you didn't have any more after your daughter, but maybe something happened that you couldn't or whatever. But it sounds like you're jealous that someone else could actually have kids instead of you. You wanted that new car seat with the baby in it. That was your problem. That was your problem, and I can hear it in your tone of voice. I can hear it. That's why you don't like other people's kids, because you're just too jealous and envious of someone else having children. That's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting.
And then when I first got to meet Summer, she was rigid. Every time you'd hold her, she was stiff as a board.
Jody Sue, I've seen Summer, and I've also seen your child. I've seen them both. And I personally believe that you were jealous of Summer. Summer was absolutely adorable. She was beautiful. And I bet that got your freaking goat, because your son and your daughter look like you and Andy. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say, I'm going to stop right there. But I think you were jealous. When you had to look at your kids and then Candace's kids, you got jealous.
Cried. She had the fetal alcohol sit in her ears like her siblings kind of did when they were younger. And obviously that whole time I had watched, but we didn't know she was pregnant. Every day drinking. So then, a few months goes by. I'm not over there.
What would Jesus do, PG? Well, I'll tell you what he would do. Probably start singing this song. You're the reason our kids are ugly. Little darling. Right?
Not really paying attention. I go over there at a certain point. For some reason, who knows, still trying to be friendly with these new neighbors I'd met, and concerned for other people's children despite our own situation on there, which at that time, everything was going pretty smoothly for a few years on our hill. It was one of the rare times, lasted 3 or 4 years in a row. So it was calm my way. So at that point, I guess I had the ability to throw stones. Either way.
Throw stones. Looks like somebody threw them back. All right.
Their well water was straight sulfur. Bad. To where when you turned it on, and that's nobody's fault in there. Well water is well water. Each one's different. But if it's this bad and discolored, you go get bottled water. Especially for a baby. Nope. And I was standing there watching as it wasn't formula, but a little bit of milk, mostly water, and oatmeal. For one that was not even, a few weeks old, like a month or two. And I was like, holy, like hell, you can't do that. You're gonna hurt that baby, Like, no. Man. So, formula I had, if they send you a mail for like 25 years after you have a child, I happen to have a son, I gave it to him. After that, I guess
She didn't call CPS because her and Andy was making a boatload off of the wells, according to Jody Sue. According to Jody Sue, they were making a boatload of money off of the wells. They're not going to report that. They're not going to mess up their bank. Absolutely.
Whatever. Contact was intermittent off and on throughout the years, depending on. But, there's also a reason my kids and theirs never really hang out. Because it was like, It wasn't their faults, you see. I knew it wasn't their faults. They couldn't help that. Couldn't help how they were being raised or done or anything like that. But
you see how she sounds? You see how she acts like and sounds like they were so much better than the Wells and the Wells kids? And they were up on that hill living with radiated poo-poo buckets everywhere, right? Like it would cost a ton of money to get all of that hazmat suited off of there, right? Come on. She had freaking radiated stench over there, taking over the whole mother freaking countryside, right? Come on. Like places like that's supposed to be fresh air. They wasn't any because of her side of the hill, not anybody else's, right? Yeah. I mean, she acts like she was living over there on Knobs freaking Hill, right? Hell to the no. She's living over there on radiated Stinchio, right? That's what she was living over there on. Mother freaking mattress laying over next to a mother freaking cliff like it was ready to go over. And that thing looked as bad as the one Dom Wells had and twice as big, right? Twice as big and maybe twice as dirty, to be honest. I mean, at least his had a sheet on it. Theirs didn't. I mean, that big old cabin she was laying in, that beautiful freaking sunny shine cabin. We saw it. We saw it, you guys. That wasn't no mother freaking cabin. I don't know what the hell you call that thing. It looks to me like if a strong wind came, it'd be gone, right? Come on. You call that a cabin? I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid to breathe too hard in that damn thing. It might fall over on you. Come on.
But, and I don't even know that the other hill realizes. But I know at first I thought, well, they don't have money to feed them. They don't have this. They don't.
Of course not. They're supposedly giving it all to you and Andy for stuff to sedate the children, little girls, to be touched. Right? And you wanted the corn dogs too.
Have that, so I would bring groceries over and do whatever, So would other men.
No, you didn't bring no groceries anywhere. You didn't bring no groceries anywhere, Jody Sue, because when Summer came running to that door, needing a towel in her birthday suit, you called her a brat. You seen that there was Dom Wells behind her. You seen that this man was inside that place with this little girl in a shower, in a freaking shower. You knew that he had this child in a shower. She's screaming for her mother. She's screaming because she is cold and wet. And you wanted to call her a freaking brat. You wasn't bringing food to nobody. You were over there obviously dropping off and picking up your cash. Unbelievable. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that she wasn't dropping off shit. She was wanting the little bag of corn dogs that they had and all they probably were going to get to eat that day, right? She already got out the jar of mustard, fucking waiting on them, right? Come on. You kidding me?
Neighbors, churches, whatever. But then you start to realize over a length period that there's all kinds of money. Just like there's always all kinds of money. Man, even Andy could bring in like 1,000 plus a week and they would still be able to drop more and afford more. But you'd watch in the evenings as the liquor was bought and as the cigarettes were bought and this and the other and a case of beer, but then like a box of off-brand Q corn dogs, right?
There's the corn dogs. I told you she wanted them. I told you. You see how she done broke out the mustard, baby. Let me tell you that right now. And the only corn dog she ended up with, obviously, was Andy's.
And not even enough in totality for the entire family. And sitting on the bar like it was some great fucking feat. But then when there was a new engine that needed to be bought, or here's that money immediately available, same day, thousands of dollars. Wouldn't leave her with any money, but had a bank account. And we always thought maybe inheritance is the other, although we're told there are other things that have been for a while now.
And I was answering some man chat that it got to the point where I wouldn't even trust him around our daughter, period, because he was closer to our daughter at one point, But then his abuse, the mental, psychological, that shit started taking place. And then he showed his monster self. Whereas for years she hadn't known him like that, but that he was acting.
Now remember, Jody Sue said she started to not trust Andy around his own daughter. Remember, she said that.
I mean, it was so fucking bizarre, dude, that I just didn't trust him with the other kids. They wouldn't even get in the fucking car with me and like to. After Summer vanished, there was one, maybe two times they had to be in the car with him. Out of like, 5 times I can name, I'd ever really let him take them anywhere in the car their whole lives. But, by himself. And, that was to transfer back and forth safely and, all that, and as they were coming and going in the days after, as we put them somewhere to keep them safe and protected, especially.
She's needing to keep her kids safe and protected, mainly her daughter. Could this be why?
Monster, I know he didn't give a shit about Summer. Like, he used her pregnancy to continue to get a piece of ass or to create his own little.
Did you hear that? He used her to get a piece of, you heard, it came out of her mouth, not mine. Right? That came out of your mouth, Jody Sue. Is that why you wouldn't trust him around your daughter? Huh? That was disgusting. That was disgusting. Was your old dude over there doing stuff that, was your old dude over there doing more than just selling the stuff to sedate him? Huh? That's why you were so worried about keeping a hand on your own daughter? I got to wonder about this one, right? Put one in the chat if we've got to wonder about this one. I think we do.
The helicopters, the noise, all that shit, was driving them crazy and helping further traumatize and PTSD stuff right there. It had gotten to a point where I was afraid because you could tell he was almost in a challenge mode with our son. And with our daughter, man, I keep seeing him look at her fucking weird. And he was.
He's looking at her daughter weird. He's looking at her daughter weird. Right? He's looking at their daughter weird. I'm telling you. That's in question. That's in question right there. Especially after what she said about Summer. Especially after what she said about Summer, right? That right there is in question. Just saying. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Jody Sue knows a whole lot. I think she knows a whole lot. And of course, she don't want Summer found. I think she knows if Summer's found, Probably she's going to get some handcuffs too, right? She's going to get some handcuffs as well, along with the Wells, along with Andy, along with a whole lot of other people that has, that has something to do with all of this stuff. This sounds like some really sick shit. This sounds like a group of really sick people who were using children to freaking profit off of, and doing some awful, horrible things to little girls and possibly little boys as well. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you something. This is her own words. It's her that said they were sedating little girls to be touched. It was her that says Andy was over there using Summer for a piece of whatever. It's her. This is all her coming out of her mouth. She says, I ain't going to stand in front of him no more. Meaning she has full knowledge of what the hell was going on upon that hill. Right? And everybody, I do not know why anyone supports people like this. I don't know. I'm going to tell you, these people are, if you ask me, they're all monsters. They're all monsters. And just imagine the pain and the suffering and the misery and all the fear and everything that this poor little girl and other little girls were going through. Just imagine if you were a child and you had this going on. Imagine if you were a child and your daddy felt he owned you and stuck you in the center of the bed every night, possibly doing some really bad stuff to you, forcing you to, coming at you in the shower, doing bad things to you all the time. This is something that didn't stop. This is something that was a day and night thing. And then letting possibly other people have at you as well. Could you imagine being a child and going through something like this to the point that your health gets taken completely away from you by the time you're 5 years old? And then they decide to plot against you and destroy you completely. Just imagine if that was you. Put your feet in these little girls' shoes. How would you like to live with that kind of being used and abused and done like this day in and day out? Just imagine that. Just imagine the pain and the fear and all the things that you would have to endure and go through at only just 4 or 5 years old. 3, 4, and 5 years old. Being done like this. Oh my God. Maybe even younger. Maybe, who knows how old she was when they were having at it. Who even knows? This is disgusting. And to have people like this sit there and literally tell you they knew about it and they done nothing. They done nothing. They done nothing to help these children. They did not contact nobody, no authorities, nobody, doing nothing. Because they were banking off of it and obviously possibly taking part in it. Oh my God. This is sick. This is really sick. Talk about that, Jody Sue. Why don't you talk about that? Play that out. Play your own words out about all the evil stuff y'all be doing. Play that out. Because I'm going to tell you something. We're going to keep playing it out until this baby is found. Until she is found. Until she is brought home. Put to rest. and justice gets served. We are going to continue to play it out. And nobody needs or wants to hear you. I'm going to tell you, everybody surrounding Summer's case, everybody that had a hand in what happened to this child, you can bet and believe that there is a special place in hell for people that do this. Trust and believe that. There's a special place in hell. You got to be a special type of evil to be able to be so uncaring, so damn jealous and hateful and mean. It is disturbing. It is disturbing to me, mother freaking think that humans could be so evil in this world as you and Andy and the Wells and God even knows who else. I truly believe that Allison, and I know she's no longer with us, but I truly believe that Allison and her family are just as wicked as you are. I think there's a whole lot of you wicked bastards down there. And I believe that this little girl was at the freaking mercy of it, along with her brothers. And you still ain't doing a thing to help her. You come out here and you tell all the people all this stuff, and I believe it's the truth. I believe it's the truth, Jody Sue. But then you tell law enforcement, oh, as long as I don't say it to you, you can't do nothing. Now, I'm not saying it to you. I know the law, and I'm not saying it to you. No, you didn't ever say nothing to them, did you, Jody Sue? To help Summer or her brothers or anyone else. You ain't ever helped anyone in this life but your damn self. And you think people should be out here listening to you and your BS. You want to know who has been out here banking off of this little girl and done not a damn thing to help her whatsoever? You, Jody Sue. You. And you know what your problem is? Your problem is we've been able to figure out everything that's happened to her all the way up to that video. And now we possibly figured out exactly where she's at. And that irritates your fucking demons, don't it? Well, go and get you a bag of corn dogs. Pull out your damn mustard because you ain't got Andy's no more. And have at it. Okay? Have at it. As Robin said, where Summer is, she don't need cookies and brownies. Cakes or brownies. Whatever and brownies. Well, where she's at, Jody Sue, she don't need your damn corn dogs either. Okay? Because I personally believe she's in the arms of an angel. And she's in heaven. Someplace you're going to wish you was one day. Right? You non-believer. Except when everything's going wrong and you want somebody to pray for your ass. Then you believe. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. Jody Sue. You ain't helping Summer out here. You're helping yourself. As you always have. As you always have done. You didn't care about them kids on the hill, but I want you to talk about that tonight. Play this out to your people. You played this out to your people. That's what you need to do. You want to grab a hold of PG's content, make it your content, baby. You make this your content tonight, okay? I want to see it. Oh, you won't play it, will you? You're not going to play this. Because righteous people won't think the same of you after hearing it, will they? No, I don't think they will. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a nice move, right? It was a nice move. She wants to play things out. Let her play out this. That's what she needs to play out. I can tell you now, she's watching and she's running her mouth. She's talking to her mother freaking self, right? So you're talking to yourself. You turn off the lights and I bet you 10 to 1 your trailer is glowing green. You can't live in radiated poo-poo that long and not mother freaking glow all the time. You act like you're so much better than the Wells kids. You and Andy. I'm going to tell you something. Those Wells kids, Jody Sue, would have made, their backsides would make you a sunny face. Those kids were so much better than you guys were and always will be. That little girl, I'm going to tell you something. When you mother freakers went at her, you went at your best. I tell you that right now. You didn't hurt her. Y'all hurt yourselves. God's seen everything. I don't care if you believe in God or you don't. Just because you don't believe doesn't mean there's not God there, Jody Sue. You can go and not believe all you want to. It ain't going to make it. It ain't going to make it so. It's like hitting your foot. It's like hitting your freaking toe on the end of your mother freaking bed. No matter how much you think the pain ain't there, it's still there, honey. It's still there. Just because it's dark and you didn't see it doesn't mean that it isn't there. God's there and God's watching and God's seen all. And I tell you what, you can't lie to God. You can lie to law enforcement, but you can't lie to God. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care if you get judged by law enforcement or not, because I know you're going to get judged by the God Almighty. I know you're going to get judged by that. And Summer's going to get justice. She'll get justice. Whether she gets it here or she gets it later, she's going to get it. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. But I tell you what, I'm not happy with not finding her. I'm not happy with her not being laid to rest properly like she deserves. I'm not happy with that. But I'm going to keep on praying because I serve a mighty big God, Jody Sue, that can move mountains. And I'm sure he can move wherever and whatever place where Summers is. And he will expose her. And we will at some point find her. Trust and believe me. We will continue to pray for her. And at some point, we're going to find her. And when we do, I'm going to pray that she gets justice too. I'm going to pray she gets justice too, Jody Sue, because she deserves it. She deserves it against you evil beings who sit there and you have told us that you and Andy had a hand. You knew what was going on over there. You had a hand in it by supplying the stuff to sedate these little girls. And now you've even went as far to say that Andy possibly was over there partaking in the stuff, not just selling the stuff to get it done. Now you're putting that on him. Put a 1 in the chat if that's what you're hearing. Put a 1 in the chat if you're hearing Jody Sue insinuating that Andy wasn't only selling the stuff to sedate these children to be touched, but he was over there partaking in it because she didn't trust him around her own daughter anymore. Then she comes out and says he was using Summer for a piece of, you know. That is disgusting. And she and from where I'm sitting, she is definitely insinuating that this man did not only supply the stuff to sedate, but also was taking part in it. That's what I'm getting out of it. And Don Wells done told us that he had video of his boss. Is this why Summer's case isn't being solved? Because so many people were partaking in what was going on up there. And so many people would be in so much trouble if the wells go down, they go down too. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. And all of this is coming out of Jody Sue's mouth. All of it's coming from her. I mean, he couldn't have been using Summer any other way for a piece of what she's saying, because he was already dating this Becca woman, had been dating this Becca woman, was carrying on an affair with her, and left as soon as Summer disappears. He came off the hill and flew to this Rebecca lady's place and marries her up. So he wasn't using anyone else for nothing like that. He wasn't, he couldn't have been using Summer's case to get a piece of anything from anybody, because he's already with this other woman, and the one he's ended up marrying now, and he's been with. So when she says he was using Summer for this awful thing, there's only one explanation, and that's to take it literally. He was over there involved in it like everyone else. And she even went as far to say he's the one that's seen her, the last one to see her online body. So basically what Jody Sue's saying is, they know everything. They know everything that was going on that hill. They were supplying the stuff. They were participating. And, they got a big dog in this race. They got a big dog in the race. And that's why she was down there lying about hearing a animalistic scream and all the bullshit. And she was out checking survey lines. She was out checking to see if Candace and them had got back in from going out and doing the dirty deed, and where the second half of it needed to be done. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with me. That's what she was running around up there waiting for. Her and her boy. Wow. Yeah. You know, the more we look into this, the more we're figuring out exactly what the hell happened that day. And I bet you 10 to 1, 10 to 1. I bet Chan Artle's the one that came in there. I bet Chad's the one that took Summer out. I mean, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I believe Andy had Chad waiting for Candace down there at Fred's place at the very end of the road, waiting for him to waiting for Summer to be brought down, and that's why Candace followed Chad out of Ben Hill Road, because Chad's the one that had Summer, or maybe Summer was still in the back of Candace's vehicle over to Morrison Cemetery. Maybe Summer was still in the back of her vehicle, and Chad went first to make sure everything's clear so they could get her out and do what they was going to do. And Andy, I think he wanted to come out and tell where she was, but you know, he didn't think anybody would take it serious. He didn't think anybody would try to get this grave exhumed to find Summer. And that's why Don was so sure, you know, that she ain't going to ever be found. And Don also knew that, you know, the Morrison had it was kind of like the Hatfields and McCoy with law enforcement, because it was one of law enforcement that came down flying down the road, and I guess accidentally hit one of the Morrisons, and you know, they passed away. So there is beef between law enforcement and, you know, these families, and they figure because of this beef, they won't allow anyone to exhume and look for Summer anyway. I mean, these people are some real criminal-minded pieces of crap. But we're going to wait, because I hear behind the scenes, they are looking into exhuming that grave. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that they are looking in to actually taking that grave up and seeing if Summer's there. So we'll wait and see. Because once all of this was reported, they went looking for Chad Arnold and Jimmy Long. So, you know, it's a very good possibility that it's going to get exhumed. Let's wait and see. Right? But in the meantime, Jody Sue, if you're going to play something out, play out yourself. Play out yourself and all your wickedness. That's what you need to play out. Listen, you guys, PG's going to get out of here. I know it's late. I came in late. I'm sorry. But I appreciate everybody staying in here, you know, hanging with us. And through all of this, you know, it's very important. It's very important that we stay on top of all of this. It's very important that we continue, you know, to do everything we can for Summer. That's what we're here. I don't care how late I got to come in. I don't care how late I got to stay. I think it's important to do what we're doing, and we're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to do it. You hear that, Jody Sue? We're going to continue to do it. And I'm going to tell you what, Jody Sue. 4 years, baby. 4 years we've been here. And you know what the difference between me and you is? I don't have no Cash Apps. I don't have no Venmos. I don't have no PayPals. I'm not calling Candace asking her where the money's at, my share anyway. Right? I'm not doing that. That was you. That was you too. And you know it. And you know it. And you know I heard it. So you know what, Jody Sue? You stick it where the sun don't shine. That's all I got to say. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of hearing you. I'm so tired of you manipulating Summer's case because you don't want it solved. You haven't been out here for Summer. You've been out here for yourselves. You've been out here trying to hang on to everything so you can deter and throw monkey wrenches in everything that could possibly find this little girl, bring her home, and get justice for her. That's the last thing you want. And I hope people wake up and understand that. I hope they wake up and understand it all. I'm going to tell you guys something. Don't support people who ain't doing righteous for the victims. Because, see, you're here for the victims. You're here for the right reason. You're here for the very reason God put you here. And that is for the victims. And if people ain't doing what's right for the victims, you know, if they're kissing backside with the suspects, and they're protecting these suspects, and they're not getting all the information they can out of these suspects for the child, you really shouldn't support them. You shouldn't support their chat. You shouldn't support them in any way, form, or how. I'll tell you, it's better for you to watch a good movie, read a good book, spend some time in the Bible, spend some time praying, spend some time taking a walk and just enjoying what God, the earth that God gave you. But it would be better spent. It would be better spent doing anything other than supporting these people that ain't doing righteous for these missing kids. Because when you're supporting these people that ain't doing righteous for the missing children, you're supporting evilness. I just want you to know that. And you don't want to support evilness, because when you support evilness, it's not going to let you get into the gates of heaven. Just saying. Do righteous by these children, you guys. Do righteous by these children. There'd be a lot of people happy to know that PG, I'm only going to run this channel for a couple more months. I'm only going to run it till the 4th year, Summer's 4th year, and see where it goes. And if they're not willing to exhume that grave over there, then I don't think Summer will ever be found, to be honest with you. And I think everything we're doing at that point is a lost cause. It's a lost cause. And at that point, I am going to walk away from this case, because I will not stay out here and allow Jody Sue's and Mother freaking Andy's and Dom Wells and Candace and them to still be able to be out here showing their damn faces and getting any type of support whatsoever. This channel has kept Summer and her case alive for 4 years. This channel has done everything that it can do for this little girl. And I will continue until I figure out if they're going to do the righteous thing and exhume that grave for Summer's behalf or not. But after that, PG will be walking away from all of this. I'm going back to a normal life, because I can't stand being out here watching these children be used and abused for people, I can't stand watching these people use and abuse children for their own self-gain. I cannot do it. This channel has not ever done it. We have not ever made no self-gain off of these missing children. None whatsoever. This has been America here. Freedom of speech. We have had to, take a lot of our lives away, and we've had to shut a lot of things down. We haven't made anything off of these missing kids. Matter of fact, it has cost us to run this channel. And I'm going to tell you something. The only channel you'll ever find like this out here again. This is the only one you'll ever find that actually operated in this manner. And I just, and yes, I will not be going on anyone's. I won't be coming in no chats anymore. I won't, when I leave, I'm gone. I will not be coming back. I will not be supporting the true crime, this true crime stuff ever. I won't be coming in to support any of it because I feel that it's wrong. I've been out here and I've watched and I've seen, and I cannot support people who use missing children for self-gain. I cannot support that, and I will not support that. So when I leave here, I will be shutting down completely, and I will not be affiliated with anything out here no more. And I'm very sorry about that, but I'd rather watch movies, I'd rather read books, I'd rather go to church, I'd rather read my Bible, I'd rather pray to my God, and I'd rather stay away from all of this and make it to the promised land, because I think out here you got a good chance of ending up in Hades, because this stuff makes you really angry. This stuff makes you really, really angry to see how people use and abuse little kids. Not just, these kids have already been used and abused, but then they're being re-victimized for people's self-gain. And I don't agree with that, and I cannot support that in any way, form, or how. And I'm going to tell you, I'm scared that people will be going to hell for doing what they're doing out here with these babies. They obviously don't care about their soul. If you're going to grab a kid, if you're going to grab a missing child and try to make bank off his back, I don't think that's going to sit well with God. And I can't support that. This channel don't do it, hasn't ever done it, and won't be doing it. I wish all channels was like this one. I wish all channels loved and cared about these kids the way we do. I wish all of them could be as righteous as we are and be doing it because they truly care and for no other reason. Good night, everybody. Please keep the prayers going up for Summer. Keep them going up for this little girl, because I know God is answering. I know He's listening. I know He's answering. And I hope He lets that. I hope God, if Summer is in Morrison Cemetery, I hope God lets law enforcement go in and do what needs to be done to find her. In the name of Jesus, amen. Please pray for her. Pray for her. God bless her. God bless that beautiful baby. And shame on all of those who had anything to do with what happened to her. Shame on you. Good night, everybody. God bless. Much love.